Hey everybody, welcome back to the Routine Podcast.
Gymnastics Conversations.
I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chelsea's mom, Diana.
And we're back for episode 69.
Almost 70. I know we do this every time, but we're almost 70.
You gotta come up with a better line.
I like that line, almost 70.
Almost 100.
No, almost 70.
How are you?
A little under the weather. You know what, it feels like I always complain.
I know, right? Mom, what is going on
I
in your
am
life?
not complaining, although I'm a little under the weather.
I know. I'm like trying to stay away.
Yeah, Chelsea's not, she's got lots of great qualities.
I think we've discussed this before.
What am I going to say?
She's not the best person when you're not feeling well.
She's not a nurse.
I'm totally not a nurse.
And I don't think she has very many nurse qualities.
Yeah, I'm not very
empathetic? No.
Nurturing.
So the only reason she's at my house at this moment is that we need to record.
Well, and we had a wonderful interview, but yeah, it is for work purposes.
Other than that, she'd be like, boom. Like
not coming.
Like the Roadrunner, gone.
Burn the whole house.
But I'm doing all right. I think hopefully a couple days from now, it'll be normal. As soon as Chelsea goes, as soon as that door closes, it's bedtime.
Going back into bed.
Bedtime for Bonzo.
Oh, you know what? I did want to give you an update.
Okay.
So for Christmas, one of my gifts was a weighted blanket.
I know. I wanted to ask you, how was that?
Well, I don't really know because I feel like I've been like a little bit stressed. So I don't know if that has been waking me up a little bit throughout the night or if it was the weighted blanket. So I'm thinking when it's the weekend, I know I don't have to set an alarm or anything. Come back to me and I'll let you know. Yeah. But I think I'm getting used to it.
Talk to me about it a little bit. It's just really heavy.
Yeah, so it's like an 18-pound fuzzy blanket.
Wow, I'd get claustrophobic.
But I heard it's like, you know how dogs have like their anxiety like
blankets
or,
wraps
or vests. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that, but for a human.
And so far for you, hadn't quite done that.
No, but I think it's because I'm like extra stressed.
But that's the whole point of the blanket.
I know.
Is to reduce the stress.
Maybe my body just has to get acclimated.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's a work in progress.
Okay, let me know.
I'll update you. But we're back. We officially had meets this past weekend.
We did.
It's still kind of weird. I feel like it kind of really just sprung up on us.
You know, I agree with that. Although, in watching the meets, the gymnasts looked like they were ready.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the meets?
Yeah, so I watched two meets. I watched LSU and Arizona.
What did you think?
I loved Arizona's Leos.
Right? I just now connected that that's what their flag looks like.
I didn't know what it was, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So they are representing the Arizona flag.
Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it just was like this kind of bicentennial.
Right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then it had the A on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved their Leos. And they looked very good.
I was pleasantly surprised by Arizona.
Yeah, they really did. And LSU looked like they did at this time last year. Mm-hmm. I think they're just slow starters, maybe.
Which is okay. There's no need to like come out guns blazing first meet.
Right. But if you go back and listen to what we said about them at this time last year, this felt like that.
I think what I saw is a whole bunch of new people, particularly a lot of freshmen, just trying to figure it out. Reminiscing back on my freshman season in college, you don't know what the heck is going on, honestly.
You got lots of people watching you and coaches telling you what to do, and I barely know your name.
I know, yeah. So I think it's going to be like that for the first couple of meets for them, for everyone just to understand what it's like to compete in college. Mm-hmm. And that's okay, because again, it's only January. We have all the way until April. Mm-hmm.
But with that all said, and if it matters, LSU did end up winning the meet. And then I watched Kentucky and Utah, and that was fun too.
Yeah, and now that we are officially Pac-12 subscribers.
Yes, we are.
We can watch all of the Pac-12 meets.
Yeah. And not like bootleg edition where it's a little bitty box on the screen with commercials that come on every 30 seconds.
What I enjoyed about that meet is really just the competition between the two teams, because usually those two teams don't face off, especially during the regular season. But also seeing this new Kentucky team because they lost all of those seniors last year.
Yeah, they did.
Really, I think that team is going to be building this year.
I think so too.
Because there's just so many new faces.
With a lot of talent.
I just think it's crazy that Molly Korth is a senior.
I know.
I remember her coming in like in January or December her freshman year, which feels like it was like 2 years ago. So it's really cool to see her take that leadership role with the rest of the team.
Her floor looked really good. Utah looks really good as well.
They do.
I mean, it's a different team without Michaela. And without Megan Marsden, it's a different team.
But I think it's a good different. It's not that they're lacking or anything. It's
Agreed.
like they're taking what they have and shining with it.
They're creating their own team.
This change in the program allows other members to really shine in ways that they haven't previously. In sad news, we do have one unfortunate injury update. Rachel Dixon of Georgia, who's actually a senior, tore her Achilles.
Oh, that's so sad.
So we hope she has a speedy recovery, and fingers crossed, that's the only Achilles tear we'll get this season.
Or any season-ending injury.
Yeah, especially for a senior.
Right.
So that was just a little meet recap for the little weekend of meets that we had. This coming weekend, though, it's really game on.
Is it?
Yeah. Everyone's competing this weekend. So.
All right, so we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the show.
But we never talked about our listener comments.
Oh, we always start with that.
I know. We went a little out of order. And I think that was actually my fault.
Yeah, don't blame me this time.
But last week, we left you all with the question, who do you think the top 3 teams will be at the end of the year?
A lot of responses again. Can I do like the overview, or do you want to go by individual, or what would you like? Because I actually did and I'm not a math person, but I did the math on what all of the tweets and emails and comments and votes, what the ranking would look like if we combined all that.
I'll just read 3 tweets that we got, and then you can give us the overall results.
The culmination of the tweets and comments?
The tabulations.
Oh, there, the tabulation.
So one tweet from @TouringGym. They said, I'm choosing Florida, followed by Oklahoma, Michigan, and LSU. Another tweet from @Mary Hushaw, and she said, my top 3, 1 Oklahoma, 2 Florida, 3 Denver. We also got a tweet from our good friend Sam is a Dancer, and she said, a sunny, cold morning in NYC for my first run of the year. I spent it listening to the Routine podcast. So here is my preseason Final Four prediction. Number 1, Florida. 2, Oklahoma. 3, UCLA. 4, Michigan. And then one more tweet we got is from @Becca92, and she said, a little late giving my 2020 season 4 on the floor predictions, but number 1, Oklahoma, number 2, Florida, number 3, UCLA, and number 4, LSU. I would love to see Michigan or Denver in the mix.
It's funny you end with Becca because when you tabulate everybody combined, hers is pretty close to how when you add everybody together, what everybody came up with.
Really?
So number 1 was...
Wait, can we discuss how you came up with these numbers, just so we know you're not fudging the numbers?
I did Diana math. So I took all the teams that were mentioned and put the place order that each person who commented ranked the team. And then I added up the total and then averaged. Look at me.
Okay.
And then based on that average, that was the place that they got. So with that being said,
Yes.
the number 1 team by our Routine podcast listeners is Oklahoma. The number 2 team is Florida.
How close were those numbers? Because I feel like we got a lot of people, which was actually very surprising to me. A lot of people thought that Florida would be number 1 this year.
It was tied for quite some time, and then we had a couple of folks weigh in that changed it. Last minute that changed it. But they were tied. So second place is Florida. Third is UCLA. And then 4th is Michigan.
Really?
With 5th being LSU.
Interesting.
Right. And again, that's not who people wanted to win necessarily, except Sam is a dancer.
No, I think she actually, this is
who she thinks is going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard to make these predictions when we haven't seen teams compete. And like you said at the beginning of the episode, last year around this time, we were saying LSU, this is their building year, don't expect anything from them, and then they end up being second.
Yeah.
So, like, at the end of the day, we can all make these predictions, but we cannot say how things are actually going to end up.
No, but you're using it based on who the new freshmen are. You're doing it based on the coaches, because if you know you got KJ Kindler on your roster, there's a really good chance you're going to do well.
Yeah.
And I think we're also doing it based on history and historically what it's looked like. And I tell you, based on this list, I think it's pretty close to probably what's going to happen.
You know what's interesting? We haven't talked about the WCGA preseason coaches poll. So let me just name the top 4 for this poll that the coaches voted on.
And they do this at the beginning of the year.
Yes. So number 1 is Oklahoma. Number 2 is LSU. Number 3 is Florida. And number 4 is UCLA.
And Michigan's on there too, right? Michigan was number 6.
Yeah.
With Utah being number 5.
Super interesting. I know there was some conversation about this preseason poll. But again, this is something that the coaches vote on. And this is how it turned out.
And can I just, while we're talking about the coaches poll, I'd love to talk about Lindenwood. So Lindenwood actually ranked in this poll as well. They ranked number 36. And what's interesting about that is Lindenwood is the only NCAA Division II team that is earning the distinction of being ranked by these coaches.
Wow. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, that even though they're a Division II team, they're ranked numbers 36 in the country by these college coaches.
Which is totally legit.
I totally agree.
Remember them last year during the whole regional debacle, and it was that 3-day...
Would you say debacle?
I mean, it's just like a full weekend of meets.
Yeah.
And if you like do well, then you keep competing. But they almost beat George Washington.
Yeah.
So I am so for Lindenwood representing D2.
And remember their last rotation of beam?
Oh, yeah. At USAG Nationals last year.
Right, where they scored a...
I think it was a 49.5.
Right.
Something totally outlandish. So, again, I'm here for Lindenwood. I think the majority of the Gymternet is here for Lindenwood.
I agree.
Especially for them being the newest team to college gymnastics. So thank you all for your predictions. It was really cool to see what everyone was thinking. A lot of the feedback that we got was it was hard for people to choose teams not involving feelings because people are so tied to their favorite teams. But thank you all for participating in that. And it'll be cool to see how we end up in April. So speaking of Michigan being in the Final Four this year, we got to speak with the star freshman from the University of Michigan, Sierra Brooks.
Yeah, so this came about with one of our questions that we asked a couple of episodes ago, and that was, if we could talk to any new freshman this year, who would it be?
And we got a lot of replies, but one of the gymnast names that we saw repeatedly was Sierra Brooks. We got the chance to chat with Sierra about her goals as a freshman and why she ended up going to the University of Michigan.
So we are joined today by Sierra Brooks. Sierra is the newest member of the University of Michigan. Hi, Sierra.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. How you doing?
Good.
So what are you thinking about college so far?
I love it. I'm super excited to be here. Coming in a year early, it was just super exciting and everything that I hoped it would be. And it's been a learning adjustment, but everyone's made it super fun and just overall a great experience.
Yeah, so if we can rewind that and say, you know, your first thing said it's super fun. What makes it super fun?
Honestly, just like all the people and like getting to meet so many different people in and outside of the gym has just been super exciting. And like living in the dorms, you literally meet new people every single day. So it's just things like that that I really like.
I'm asking these questions as a mom, which is when my daughter says it's super fun and I love living in the dorms. I'm like, what's going on?
You just live in that college life.
Right.
So you talked about leaving high school a year early to do this. Can you walk us through that decision and that process?
Yeah, so it was something that came up kind of sudden, I guess. It was like towards like the beginning of last year, probably around like end of February. I think it was kind of mentioned to me from Michigan coaches, but it wasn't like this like serious thing. It was like I'd call them just to check in and, oh yeah, like you can graduate early. And then I came down for one of their meets actually and like talked to the coaches in person, and they were like, you could actually consider graduating early. And it was something that like I hadn't fully considered until then. And we like went through the pros and cons, and I had done almost everything that I wanted to do with my JO gymnastics career, and academically there wasn't a ton of things left that I needed in high school. So it came down to where I thought I'd be happier and what decision would be best.
Sure. And again, I'm going to do the mom thing again. That means you left home a year earlier. Yes. That's horrible.
Yeah, that was like my mom. I remember when it first got brought up, it was actually my dad. When I was like, so they actually want me to consider graduating early, and my dad was like, well, you're not going. What? And then I ended up deciding, they're like, no, it's like up to you. And then my dad ended up being more okay with it than my mom, because she's like, you're leaving this year? I was like, I know. But yeah, it was okay once we got over it.
Yeah, I mean, because really, what we do is we kind of count the years and count the days of how long you're going to continue to be home with us, because we know once you go to college, the chances of it being, you coming back home, which again, that's kind of hard too, because we want you home, but we really don't want you home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
But you do know that chapter of your life is forever going to be changed. So I totally understand how your parents felt. And I think I read you have a brother named Brandon. Is he an older brother or a younger brother?
Younger brother. He's almost 12.
How did he feel about this whole thing?
Initially, he was like, oh, you can go because then I'll take your room. But honestly, I think he wasn't too affected by it, I guess. We're like 6.5 years apart. And so he was going to miss me like driving him around, and that was
That's exactly right.
So, yeah.
The things that you could have helped him at.
Right.
In the room.
Right. Which he didn't get.
Oh, he didn't get the room.
He didn't even get the room, no.
That's funny. Let's talk about your decision to choose Michigan. How did that happen?
I started getting like recruiting letters and everything like that early middle school, but I knew at like that point I'd have to start looking at like what schools I'd actually be interested in, since it moved so quickly. And I always wanted to look at like schools that were like high in academics. So I think I like mainly just started looking at schools that were like good academically and athletically. And I think Michigan almost tops that list every time. From then on, I just kept recruiting open, but I was like definitely like Michigan was one of my favorite schools, and I hadn't visited or anything like that. But eventually Michigan reached out to my coaches, and then I came on my unofficial visit and loved it. Mm-hmm. And then I came down again like a month later for Region 5 camp, and it was hosted at Michigan. And then that's when they offered, and I took it.
What's the travel distance? Again, I'm being a parent at this point. How close are you for me to get to you?
It's not bad. It's 4 hours on the dot.
Did that factor in at all?
I think it factored in more once I came. I really didn't consider distance to be a big factor at all. But then I think once I got here, it was very nice knowing that if I needed to go home.
And that homesickness thing, I think it hit Chelsea maybe after the second month, maybe?
Definitely in the first semester, right around like October. That's when you're like, all right, I think it's time to go home.
Yeah, because everything's so new for a while. August and September, it's like so much fun. And then you're like, okay.
That's exactly what happened. I don't know if you listened to our podcast, but a couple episodes ago, we said, what freshman would you like us to interview? And you were the top choice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why we, very excited that you are here talking to us today. But I think, folks are most excited about you and Michigan combined and what that potential looks like. Can you talk a little bit about how you feel about the team and the potential that you all have?
I think Bev talked about it a lot to our team. It's like our team has more depth than it's had in like a very long time. So like we have a ton of girls to choose from for like every lineup. And I think that is going to contribute to how like successful our team is going to be this season. And I think that comes in with like our freshman class is obviously going to contribute, but people are healing from injuries and everything like that. So I think our team is very well put together. And I think since they had a season last year that ended honestly like really, really well, they made it to nationals and then almost made the 4 on the floor, which like was unexpected since it had been like a rough year. I think coming in, they really want to see what we can do, and I think we're all excited about that.
Sure.
And I know you're scheduled to be a star all-around gymnast, but what event are you most looking forward to competing this season?
That's a really good question. Honestly, floor, I don't know if it's like my most excited event. My whole entire career, like my favorite event has switched and it's never been floor. Like I just don't like floor that much.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. But I don't know. They've definitely worked on us like showing off our routines and things like that. And I think that's actually something that I'm looking forward to competing and then probably along with bars and beam.
Your bars dismount is like
killer.
Ridiculous.
Thank you.
I think the last thing that we will talk about is in our last show, we asked folks to kind of rank which teams they believe are going to be at nationals. And Michigan came up quite a few times from our listeners that they really felt that Michigan was going to make it to nationals and do really well at nationals this year. So let's talk about your goals on the team. What are you thinking?
Our team has definitely made it clear that we all want to go to nationals. And I think we're really trying to focus on like, why not us? Because we haven't won an NCAA championship yet. And I think we're just trying to really focus in on us and like what potential we do have and looking at our depth and where it can take us for sure.
And not only this year, but the years to come. Mm-hmm. Perfect. So, Sierra, we ask every gymnast that we talk to some questions. We ask the same questions, and it's kind of like this rapid fire thing, although obviously you take the time.
Oh, gosh.
Take the time you need. But let me know when you're ready.
Okay. I think I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Your favorite word?
Whoa.
Whoa's your favorite word?
No. I've never thought of that question.
So we're leaving that cliffhanger with how Sierra answered that question. It's that question, and I think there's 5 or 6 more questions. This is something we started this year. Any gymnast we interview on the show, we ask them the same questions. And to be able to hear their answers, it's available for our box and front row seat members. And Sierra's answers were very funny.
Yeah, they were funny.
Should we give folks the question so they know what we're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're asking their favorite word, which again, you're going to be able to hear that. The hardest skill, the favorite skill, the best advice they've ever received, and their most favorite person in the world and why.
We never really know how gymnast interviews are going to go because understandably so, it's kind of nerve-wracking being interviewed, especially as a freshman.
I was going to say, and as a freshman as well.
But she was great, and she had some really great answers.
Yeah.
So thanks, Sierra, for talking with us, and good luck this season.
So again, if you're a box seat or front row seat member, just go to that member section of our website. If you are not a member, now's the time to become a member. And you do that by going to the Support Us section of our website.
So thank you for those of you who have already subscribed again. It's super appreciated. And I know a couple of you have reached out letting us know that you've received your bags, which is so cool.
We did get a tweet from our newest member, and that's Dave Pendries. Dave says, got the tote bag and the nice note. I hope our paths cross someday soon. Also a side note, Minnesota is at Rutgers this year. Hint, hint.
I don't know if we'll make it up to Rutgers again.
That's a tough commute.
I feel like whenever we decided to go, that was 2 years ago, I don't think we knew what we were getting into.
I knew what we were getting into because you used to compete at Rutgers. You didn't know what you were getting into.
It's a lot closer from Connecticut than from Maryland.
But they have that great DJ that's...
Oh, yeah.
Nate, I think his name is.
Was it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mom interviewed the DJ. Mm-hmm. I think that was the episode, The Big Five, or something like that. If you guys want to listen to that episode, that was a lot of fun. So this weekend, I now consider like the first like real official week of NCAA gymnastics. Although it started last week.
I was going to say, I think the official week was last week.
But like now it's like Friday Night Heights on ESPN. All teams are competing, so it's like there's options for what we want to watch. So it's like we're getting in the nitty gritty, you know? So a couple of meets you can look out for. Missouri will be at Kentucky, so that should be an interesting matchup. Missouri has brought on a lot of talented freshmen this year. Arkansas will be at Florida. I'm excited to see what this Florida team can bring. You know, there's a lot of talk going on. So I'm just excited to see what's actually going on.
Me too.
Behind closed doors. LSU will be at Georgia. So Georgia will be at home. Hopefully they have a stronger showing than this past weekend. But I'm sure the Gym Dogs will love competing back in the Coliseum. Oklahoma will be at Arizona State, and that actually will be on ESPNU, as well as some other meets.
As you watch the meet, make sure you take a look at College Gym News. They're actually live blogging, so you can get a better sense and in-depth information about what's going on at the meet.
Yeah, so if you're not able to watch the meet live, you can check out their live blog. But also, if you just are watching the meet by yourself, but you want to see what other people are thinking about some of the routines, that's a great resource.
Absolutely. And just a reminder that College Gym News is your one-stop shop for all things college gymnastics. For event coverage, leotard rankings, in-depth features, fantasy gymnastics resources, and more, visit collegegymnews.com.
And if you're interested in supporting CGN's expanding coverage, visit collegegymnews.com/donate. College Gym News, all the college gymnastics news you want, all in one place. So what questions should we leave our listeners with this week? I want to know which meet you're most looking forward to watching this weekend. Because there's so many meets to choose from, which team are you most looking forward to watching?
I think that's a good question to ask.
I think I'm most looking forward to watching Florida.
I think I would agree with that.
Because there's...
Actually, no. I look forward to always watching Oklahoma.
Oh, that's a good one. And they're going to be on ESPNU, so...
I think they are just such a beautiful team to watch. And you know what? It's easy for us to say Oklahoma's always good. Oklahoma's always... At some point, Oklahoma's not always going to be great. And so we'll...
Okay, Debbie Downer.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, they're going to be good, but they're not always going to be great.
Stellar.
Yeah. And so we're watching history, just appreciating what's happening before us and not taking it for granted. Mm-hmm. Especially as I get older, and wiser, it's just recognizing greatness when you see it. Mm. And that's where we're at right now with Oklahoma.
So again, let us know which meet you're looking forward to watching this weekend. You can tweet us. Our Twitter is @RoutinePodcast. You can email us at info@theroutinepodcast.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail on our website, theroutinepodcast.com.
Yeah, that's just elusive voicemail.
Does the button still work?
Yeah, maybe we need to check this new website. Maybe we didn't get the button right on it. But you'd leave a voicemail by going to the episode that you're interested in. You'll see 4 buttons at the top. One of those buttons will say voicemail. You click that button. You'll see a microphone. You click the microphone and you leave us a voicemail message.
And if you like today's episode, be sure to give us 5 stars on the Apple Podcast app. It really helps us out. And we'll talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye.